All right, we're live with Fred,
Hello.
and we'll be working on the moon in Aquarius, trine Mercury in Libra. Mercury is retrograde. We'll see if that comes up during our conversation.
Mm.
So, what do you do for work?
So currently I am a flight attendant. Yes, I
Okay.
have been for almost 3 years.
International, within the States?
Both, mostly within the States, but internationally sometimes.
Okay. So, what is it like being a flight attendant?
Ooh, it's it's very that's a loaded question, huh? I love it. I love it actually. I love it. I love the lifestyle. I think it's meant for people who kind of like are interested in like several things, or maybe just those people who like wanderlust type people. I love meeting new people. I love traveling to new places. It kind of keeps you on your toes a lot. It's less of a job and more of like a lifestyle kind of change, I would say. But yeah, I really like it
Okay, so you work with lots of people, I guess. You're meeting people all the time.
all the time.
Okay. Do you feel the moon, Mercury, and the air signs in that?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah. For me, I think I'm a very personable person. I just love talking to people. I think uh, maybe my Mercury in Libra. I'm a very I can kind of talk to anybody. I can make space for anybody. I can kind of like I can always find a topic to hold. I can always get in there somewhere to kind of like open up room for conversation. I think that's a positive about my chart or myself.
Yeah, it's a very sociable energy. Especially the moon in Aquarius, right? Because Aquarius is, first of all, it's the different cities that you would visit, and then it's also all the people that are coming onto the plane, and you're talking to lots of them, and they're all seated, and then you move, and you're talking to a lot. Because when I imagine a flight, I fly pretty often myself, and
Mhm.
there's it's always like you're servicing at one time like 50, 60, 80 people, is it?
Exactly right. You always have something on your mind. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, seat 2B needs this. Oh, you gotta, it's kind of like a stage, right? You just gotta maneuver it and make sure everybody's happy and
Do you feel the Libra in that? Right? Somebody needs something. You're figuring it out for them. Right? You're kind of in service
Um,
always.
well, I guess I kind of attribute all that to like all the Virgo energy I have, maybe like being of service and like I ain't gonna say wanting to be needed, but like it's like how can I help? I need to let me help you. I can make things better, or like let's figure it out. But maybe I guess that's kind of Libra core too, right?
I guess you're also frequently staying in hotels.
Yes. Which which isn't my favorite part about the job, but it's cool.
Hmm. Do
More of
you do
like a
your
home.
own booking or do they do that for you?
They do that for us. So like you know, when we get a trip, we already know, usually for the most part, already know where we're gonna stay and all that stuff. So it's already booked for us and everything. We don't have to worry about any of that.
Okay. So one of the assets you could say is that through your company, you're getting free stays at hotels basically all over the world.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Therefore, I'm feeling the moon in your second house, Aquarius, right? Because the second house, things that you have, like financials, money, assets, help, resources.
Hmm.
And then the Aquarius is like the hotels, right?
Oh
Because it's
yeah.
like something that is it's common. It's like lots of people are staying there, right? Aquarius, fixed
Yeah,
air.
yeah. That makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never thought about it that way.
Okay. Good. And you said you've been a flight attendant for 3 years.
It'll be 3 years in October, I'd say.
Okay, but you're born in 89. So you must have had a career beforehand.
I did, which is
What
a
did you do before that?
Completely opposite career, probably. I think my main career, I was in the military. Yeah, I was in the military from 2008 to 2016. I think that was the bulk of my career, but I've done several things.
Okay, what was your role in the military?
Well, this probably is not shocking. Communication.
Okay.
I was on the radio, Alpha Bravo. That was my job.
Well, I don't know what that means. What does it mean to be on the radio?
So I was in charge of setting up communications between, I guess different groups. Um, I think one thing that I'm good at was probably speaking, I guess. So I think the military kind of honed in on that because you have to be very clear and concise when you're speaking on a radio so that, people can understand you because, sometimes it's life or death, like I guess. So you have to be really you have to enunciate and things like that and be really I guess focused in that area.
Okay. It, so right, you feel Mercury in the 10th in that, right? In Libra?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For
But
sure.
what interested me is where you said that you were setting up communications between different groups, Aquarius.
Mm.
So what is, can you just illustrate for me?
So, for example, I was deployed overseas with the team who traveled. So I would be the communications guy. So like, wherever we go, I would have to talk to base and say like, hey, we're going here, give our coordinates, kind of check in with like, they call it a fob or whatnot, and just kind of make sure, let them know where we are and let them know that we're safe and everything like that. Cause you always need communications, that's, huge. So I guess that's one example, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you're on a mission and you're in charge of communicating your location, what's happening with your team. So you're speaking on behalf of kind of your cohort.
Correct. I'm the one they're like, yo, if they need something to go through radio, if they need information passed, I'm the one that passes it.
Okay. And I guess also if you receive some kind of directive
Mm,
from base, you're the one to also communicate it to the team. So you're like in between.
yeah, exactly. And it's more like voice, there's several ways of communication, but mine was more like so radio voice. And you have like data, which would be, the computer and things like that, which was less, well, I kind of did that, but less of my job. But that kind of incorporated into it too.
Okay. So you went on missions worldwide with the military.
I have, yes.
Okay. And you were always the radio guy.
Yep, that's always been my job.
All right. So you were working on the airwaves,
Hmm.
right? Does that make sense when you see it this way?
I guess so. Yeah, I've never really kind of thought about it. I know communication was something that was big in my life because I'm a huge, communication for me is huge. Like speaking, it's how I understand things. Let's talk about it. Like, I want to, get it out there with my voice or, maybe writing or any other kind of way. But yeah, I never really thought about it that way, I guess. I thought it was just kind of like, oh, I just happen to end up here and, I'm just doing my job.
Okay. So then what I notice is a gap between 2016 and 2023.
Hmm.
What happened then?
Oh, so right after that, I got out, I rolled in college, and then I started waiting tables and bartending, which I kind of loved for a little bit. It allowed me to kind of like exercise my social skills. Not saying I wasn't the most social person, but I loved it, like especially bartending. I got to like really hone in on that. And I was good at it too. So yeah. And what else did I do? I worked for a debt collector briefly. Not my strong suit. I'm too nice of a guy, I didn't like, hounding people for money. I'm more like, oh, I get it. You can't pay this. I understand. Which that's not that's not the personality trait. Yeah, yeah. That's not the personality trait you want as a debt collector. I worked at a real estate firm for a little bit. I also didn't like that. Cubicle office work. I think, my personality is more kind of like I need freedom in space. I don't like to be confined. One thing about being a flight attendant I like most is just freedom, right? Like you don't have like a supervisor hounding over your back. You have a job to do, and they give you space to do it. I mean, the most space, right? You're in the sky.
Yeah, it makes me think about you being outside often just because of the air, right? So
Mm.
always having air element or also having lots of space. It actually, even the apartment that you're in, I don't know if it's a house, but just notice how spacious and airy it is, like a hangar.
Yeah, well, that was on purpose actually, because I was like, I always wanted a loft. It's the loft with the tall ceilings, and I don't know if I can show you a view. This will probably. How do I use this thing? Like,
Okay. Okay.
it's like tall ceilings, and
Very
like
good. Okay, so does
that
that
kind of
make sense to
situation.
you? Like the air trine and then having this like loft that is also like overseeing the city. Even the fact that it's over the
Mhm.
parking, right? That makes me think about the moon in Aquarius because every time you look
Mhm.
outside, there's all the cars parked and all the people, and it's like the city life essentially.
Yeah, yeah, this was definitely on purpose. Like when I moved here, which was about a month ago, I was like, I want something big, spacious, like it doesn't have to be like square footage big, but like, uh, just big and spacious, I guess. That
Okay,
makes sense. Yeah.
this makes me think about you growing up, having many different friend groups, but just like getting along with people.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like kind of just well, yeah, I can kind of get along with anybody. I don't think I have like I did have like kind of a set friend group a little bit, but I just kind of was always flowing between like everybody. I was a little reserved though. I think as a kid, I was more reserved than I am now. So like that's why I like that bartending gig because I was like it was like me coming out of my shell. I think I came out of my shell like later in life. I was kind of reserved as a kid.
Okay, that makes me think about your Mercury being retrograde.
Mm,
Because do you know anything about progressions?
I don't. I've heard of it, but I'm not sure.
Okay, progressions basically it's like 1 day equals 1 year. So basically, if you're 30 years old, your progress chart for 30 years old is the same chart as the transits 30 days after you were born. Okay, and
Mm,
so your Mercury would be retrograde for about the first 30 years of your life or so, maybe less. I would have to take a look.
oh
And then
wow.
he suddenly goes direct. So that makes me think about, in the first part of your life being kind of reserved, having to work through being a sociable person through the bartending gig, for example. Maybe that's
Mm.
around the time your progressed Mercury was stationing direct. Then once he goes direct, you're kind of in a different space.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's exactly. I was bartending between like 28 and 31. Like
Okay.
around that. That's when I started that. So, but that makes a lot of sense because I think I was. It's so funny because now I refer when I tell people about myself, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of shy, but I'm not really. I'm the opposite. I think I'm extremely sociable, and sometimes I don't identify with that because, like, I think I've always just said like, oh, I'm just kind of like, a little weirdo in my box, but it's like, oh no, you've turned into this super social person. And
What were you into in school? Were you like on debate or like on journalism or speech teams or on the computers or chess, something like that?
um, so early in life, I was in what was it called? It was like academic. It was like academic bowl. It's just
What's
like
that?
academics. It's kind of like it's like a panel and they ask you questions and like it's like a Jeopardy style. Was it debate? It's kind of like debate, I guess. But that didn't last. I got out of that when I began junior high. And then I ran track.
Hmm.
And I love that. And that's all I kind of did. I was on the modeling team, but I wasn't as involved in school. Mm, I wish I was more involved in school. I had like family stuff happening.
Tell me about that. I was going to ask about family.
It's a lot.
Do you have
It's
a
a
big
lot. It's a
family?
lot. I have yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a
Yeah.
huge family. Yeah, yeah. I don't know where to start with that. I have a
Did you have to
mother.
travel between cities often? Did you travel as a kid, like between, were your parents together or separated?
They were separated. So when I was younger, like elementary school, I used to travel to Tennessee, like a different state, to stay with my father.
Yes. Okay.
I don't want to get like too morbid. I don't know how deep we're getting here. I'll keep it like lighthearted, or I don't
As
know.
deep as you want to. I mean, it's very good because the more you illustrate, the better. But I'll even reflect what you've said so far. Just notice the pattern that's repeating. Okay.
Mm,
In the military, you're traveling internationally. As a flight attendant, you're traveling internationally. You told me that you live between Oklahoma and Los Angeles. In your childhood, you would travel to a different state to be with your dad. And so you can see it's like it's consistent. You keep repeating it.
movement, yeah. Well, I kind of thought that was maybe like my Sag rising. I don't know. Is that a thing? Or
Also, but for me, it's more about the moon, Mercury, and the air signs.
mm,
I can explain that to you more if you want.
no, I get it. I get that. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I guess traveling a lot. Uh, and more recently, I've learned, which is like a bit the big shocker in my life, maybe in 2023. Um, I have a whole new parent. Like my father isn't my father. Very dramatic, very drama. He wasn't my father, and like it's all this drama and like, uh, yeah, that's like the huge thing. I don't know what that means. I've done some. Well, I think I looked into it astrologically a little bit, but I'm not sure um, if I was looking at the right aspects, or I don't know if that's even a thing.
Okay, so your mom had an affair.
Yeah, yeah, she had an affair, and she kind of knew about it, but she kept it a secret. And it kind of came out that she thought it would be best that if I didn't know, and all this other stuff. Yeah. And then some of my family members kind of knew because, like, as I grew up, I started to look like this person more.
Oh, okay, so it's someone within the
Yeah.
family.
No, 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 no. Just the family members know this person. They know
Okay, who,
I guess,
who
my
is that
biological.
person?
I guess he was like my next door. He was like my mother's next door neighbor, like the next door neighbor. It was kind of
Uh-huh.
like a small town I grew up in. Well, small community, I would say. Everybody kind of knows everybody. And even still to this day, it's like the family house is still there. And that next door neighbor is still there. And like she's like my grandmother now. Like it's a whole thing. So yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, maybe that's like some Venus and Scorpio energy, my ninth house energy. I don't know.
I'm feeling the Jupiter Saturn opposition
Yeah, yeah, probably, right? Yeah.
with
Because
the
that's
T
like
squared because now I'm understanding something else about your retrograde Mercury.
mm,
Because you didn't know. You didn't know
yeah.
until you were in your 30s.
Yeah, I
Right,
didn't
so
know
think
that.
about that, right? Mercury is retrograde, and you find out only much later in life what was actually happening. And again, notice that Mercury in your case is connected to your Jupiter in Cancer, the family, and that position to Saturn in your first house. So that for
Mm.
me is that you were kind of the odd child out.
Yeah, yeah. I think for my family, I'm like, just speaking of like my family terms, I'm kind of like this, I won't say like the successful one, but I'm like the one, like, look at it, he's getting out there doing it, he's traveling, he's learning, like he's responsible, like, things like that. But I think for me personally, internally, I've always felt like me. I've always felt the odd man out, within myself. So like, so that information kind of helped me. Cause like deep down, I was like, as soon as I found out the information, I was like, I knew it. It just makes sense. I was like, yeah, that makes sense, you know. Because I was always like, I love space, I love planets, I love, we talked about that, and I've always just uh, told myself the story like, oh, that story, like I'm just like this alien from another place, very Aquarius, I guess. And I'm just waiting for like aliens to be like, all right, your mission is done on Earth, come back.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's the story that like I would tell myself when I was younger, or like that I kind of felt like, But I think with oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think with this information though, it like makes me want to be less airy, be less kind of like all over the place. I kind of want to like be more stable and like plant roots and things like that.
Okay. You said you grew up in kind of a small town where people knew each other. So was the community life kind of a big deal for you growing up?
I mean, not really. Maybe like outside of me, but personally, I was kind of like I said, I was very like in my own world type situation. I was kind of like I wasn't shy, but I was more introverted, and um, I really wasn't that big of a personality. I mean, to myself, I wasn't. But sometimes when I go back home in these spaces, they're like, "Oh, what's up? Like, I remember you. Don't you remember this?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I think to other people maybe like it seemed that way, but for me internally, not really. If that makes sense."
Okay. And was there like did you go to church? Was church a part of your life growing up?
Eh, a little bit, not really. So my family's kind of Jehovah's Witness a little bit, and I used
Uh-huh.
to go, but I've never. It wasn't a huge, kind of in the middle, you know. I never really identified. I think early on I was just kind of like, this is weird.
Uh-huh. So you didn't relate to it as much.
No, no. I think I tried really hard at first, and I was like, but it was very quickly for me. I was just like, oh no, this is like I kind of just.
Okay, that makes me think about your Jupiter-Saturn opposition, actually, right? Because Jupiter is like faith and belief and kind of how
Mhm.
because you said like you believed in planets and in space, and clearly that was like a little outside of the norm, right? And
Right.
Jupiter in your case is exactly opposite Saturn in your first house. So that makes me think about how you were maybe different the way you believed or the way you saw life or the way you approach things or the philosophy that you have.
Yeah. Would you say that's a, and I don't like to think of astrology as like good or bad, but that's kind of like a difficult aspect, would you say? Or would you frame it that way?
Mm, well, I wouldn't really frame any aspect as good or bad or difficult, or it's more like just discovering what it like the pattern that it creates in your life, how it manifests. That's the interesting part, right? So
Oh,
some of
right,
the things
right.
are going to be difficult, some of the things are going to be wonderful, and we're just kind of exploring and going deeper and deeper into seeing all the ways in which that
Mhm.
aspect materializes for you.
Yeah, I like that. I like that thought process or that navigation of it.
Right. And but even if you think like, for example, in the military, obviously when you are the communicator, like it kind of falls on you to communicate very clearly and very well and to give the correct information and to be precise
Mm.
and to be present, right? So there I feel the Saturn Mercury square quite some because there's no room for error in that case. Like it's a very responsible work that you have to do.
Mm. Yeah. And I mean, I like it. When it comes to communicating, I want to always communicate the most effectively given the situation, right? I think I pride myself in like, I talk to my mother different because I know this is how I need to talk to her for her to understand what I'm saying. But I'll talk to somebody else different. Like I'm very good at like changing the tone of what I say for you to understand. And that's very important to me that I do that because I want you to understand what I'm saying.
Okay, see, that makes me think about the Jupiter squaring your Mercury from the seventh house, right? That it's important for you and you like to relate to people very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there's a lot around Mercury in your chart. Also, that he's stationary and retrograde, and he's exactly square that Jupiter. So this is like very, everything is pointing towards that Mercury in the 10th. So it really intrigues me.
Mm, I can see
Okay.
that.
Aside from work, what are your kind of interests or hobbies? How do you spend your time?
How do I spend my time? On my best days, I'm very, I'm very health conscious. I just, care about my health, the things that I'm eating. Movement is very huge to me. So, I need to, move. I need to run. I need to go to a park and like move my body. I need to do some kind of exercise. I like that. Writing, I kind of go in and out of writing. I go in the phases where I'm just like really focusing into it, and then I'll like stop for a while, and then I kind of like weave in and out of it.
Okay, when it's about the movement practice, there's like your Sun Mars coming up pretty strong, and you're saying that you're like health conscious and you want to learn about that, and you need to go to the park, right? It's all like the
Yeah.
earth element, Virgo.
Yeah. I think I feel best when I'm like outside and moving in like physical movement. That makes me feel like in my body.
Okay.
Because I
Do
think
you
a lot
see
of the
that with the
times.
Sun Mars Virgo?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of the times, I don't know, you can probably see this in my chart and we talked about it. Like I'm always like in my mind about things. I'm always like it's so much happening, maybe with all the air influence. And then like once I get in my body, it starts to like make more sense or I feel more present. I think that's one thing I try to be is which I'm not good at being like present. And I think moving my body like helps me like, oh, like it taps in, like, oh, you're here and now, like think about what's happening right now. So that I like that.
Okay, what do you write about?
Um I guess mostly just like my feelings a lot. I think nowadays maybe everything I've told you is maybe clicking, but um this is very Aquarius, but I have to think about my feelings, right? Like sometimes things will happen and I'm like, oh, this is sadness. Got it. Or like I will feel it, but I'm like, huh, like what is this? And I'm like, oh, so kind of writing helps me like understand my own feelings about things. And then I sometimes I have to like reflect a lot. I'm like, oh, okay, like that helps me understand like my own feelings a lot.
Do you publish any of your writing or is it all journaling?
Journaling, absolutely not. But no publishing, just personal writing for me. Nothing like I'm not out here writing novels. It's very personal into me, and I did, however, so in college, I my minor was theater, and I thought I want to act, but then I started writing, and everybody loved everything I wrote, and I was just like, oh, okay, so that kind of like tapped me on that. I'm like, oh, people like things that I write. That's kind of cool.
What would you write about?
When I was in school,
Hmm.
it was mostly just made up stuff. Like it was just I guess more about people and their experience, and I guess I won't say made up, but like, more fantasy, I guess. Like big
About
world
people.
fantasy. Yeah.
That intrigues me. Can you say more about that? You would write about people. What kind of people?
Let me try to go back in some stories. Think about um I guess like perspectives, right? Like I think I liked writing it was a cast. It always had to be like at least like three or four people. And I think I just like writing about different perspectives, but then they all kind of come together. I guess that's just a story, right? But I'm not sure how else to talk about it.
I'm feeling the Aquarius in that very much. The different angles, the perspectives of different people, having a cast of people and seeing how they're all thinking about the same situation. I feel the Aquarius Libra in that very much.
Yeah, yeah, because right, a lot of things about perspective, right? One thing can happen, but we all perceive it differently, and I think that's very interesting, right? We can both see the same
Oh,
thing, but it means like different. It will mean something different for me than it does you. But the thing
interesting.
happened. I think that's very interesting.
Were you a big reader? Did you have like some authors you like to think about what they write?
Not really, honestly. No, I have a lot of I have a lot of books, and I think flying. I told myself I was gonna, because we have a lot of time on the plane, and I was gonna read, and one day I will read them. But I do collect books, and in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna have time to read them, but I don't read as much.
Uh, okay, so do you notice how much of your chart really revolves around Mercury? Because now we know that not only are you a communicator in many of your jobs, but also you're a writer, and a writer that people love to read what you wrote. Do you hear me still? Oh, I don't know what happened. I'm gonna stop sharing. Yeah, I guess Fred is not gonna come back. So I will just I guess end the call here. Oh,
Hello?
there you are. Hi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a phone call come in and it just like turned everything off.
Oh, that's okay. That was a good stopping point anyway, because I have another appointment in a few minutes. So did you
Yeah.
notice how like in our conversation, like everything really points towards Mercury? Like in all your roles as a communicator, that you were shy and had to develop that you're a good writer and everyone loves to read your writing, that you're in your head and you're thinking about things a lot. Right, and that's just a few of the things that we got through. There's just so much more that we didn't touch.
Yeah, yeah. I never really I always look at like my Virgo stuff and maybe like some, my Aquarius stuff, but I think Mercury was always just kind of like a side player. But yeah, I guess it's pretty prominent.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Where how are you what brings you to astrology actually?
Great question. I don't know. I've always just been kind of interested in it as a kid. You read those, like, you pick up a newspaper and you see like, oh, the daily horoscope, you're Virgo. I don't know. I guess that's just my way of making sense of everything.
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you
I'm
still
sure you
do.
understand that. What was that?
And you still do. Like that's still your way of making sense of the world.
Yeah, I kind of go in and out of it. Like I study it and you know, I thought about like maybe I should be an astrologer, right? But yeah, I think it is. I think I use it as a
Oh,
tool.
interesting. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording here actually. I thought I did already.
Yeah.
So Fred and I are signing out.